The other day in one of my videos, I mentioned that the FBI is going back to the 9mm from the 40 Smith & Wesson. And I said that one of the reasons they gave for that switch was that their 40 caliber Glocks were wearing out too quickly. And I said, well, of course they're wearing out too quickly. Glocks weren't designed to handle the 40 Smith & Wesson cartridge. Now, this caused a lot of people to send me emails saying, that's not true, that's not true. Well, yes, it is true. The Glocks are not designed around the 40 Smith & Wesson cartridge. They are basically just 9mm guns that they put a different ejector in and then changed the hole in the end of the slide and put a bigger barrel in. They are not designed around the cartridge. And that is why they wear out so quickly. And Glocks do wear out quickly in 40 Smith & Wesson. If you shoot one enough, you'll find out they wear out much quicker than a gun that was actually designed for the 40 Smith & Wesson. People who think Glocks are the greatest no matter what either don't shoot enough to realize that that's an issue, or they just don't care because they think Glocks are the greatest no matter what because they've been brainwashed. But in reality, all Gaston Glock did was take his 9mm guns, put a bigger hole in the end of the slide, stick a different barrel in them, and a different ejector in the frame. And then he said, voila, I made a 40 Smith & Wesson gun and I beat Smith & Wesson to the market with a gun for their own cartridge. That was his whole goal. He just wanted to get a gun to the market before Smith & Wesson did for the cartridge that they designed. And when it comes to longevity of the gun, it shows. They are not designed to handle the 40 Smith & Wesson. They wear out very quickly. They wear out much more quickly than a gun that was actually designed for the 40 Smith & Wesson. Now, I also got a lot of other questions saying, well, what guns were designed around the 40 Smith & Wesson cartridge? You know, and that's a good question. So I thought I'd take a moment today to talk about a few guns that were actually designed around the cartridge, for the ones that I know about at least. And if there's any you know about, I'd like to hear about it in the comment section below. Now, some of the guns that I know that are designed around the 40 Smith & Wesson cartridge are, of course, the M&P line. It was designed around that cartridge. All their 9mm guns are just bumped down versions of their 40. Also, the Steyr guns, the Steyr M40s, those were designed around the 40 Smith & Wesson cartridge. And so were the SIG P229s. The SIG P229 is probably the best 40 Smith & Wesson gun ever made, if you ask me, and it was designed around the cartridge. I also believe the H&K USP was designed around the 40 Smith & Wesson cartridge, so that's another good choice if you want a 40 Smith & Wesson gun. And also the Browning High Powers. They made enough changes to the gun that I would say that the Browning High Power 40 caliber version is actually designed around the gun. Of course, they took the original design and just modified it, but they modified it enough that it's a completely different gun. So I would say that the Browning High Power is also a good choice for a 40 Smith & Wesson gun. And of course, my favorite gun, the Beretta 92, the 96s, the 40 caliber version of the 92, are also, you could say, designed around the 40 Smith & Wesson, because they originally tried to use the frames from the 92s, but they didn't work, so they had to redesign the frame. And in fact, now they've started using that frame even on the 92s, so even the 92s now are pretty much strong enough for 40 Smith & Wesson. They just aren't chambered for them. So I would say that the Beretta 96s are also now built around the 40 caliber round. So those are all the ones that I know of that are built around the 40 Smith & Wesson. If you know of some different ones, put them in the comment section below. But as far as I know, any other gun that's 40 Smith & Wesson that existed before the 40 Smith & Wesson round came around is pretty much just a revamped 9mm and won't handle the round as well as a gun built for that caliber. But like I say, I don't know every gun, so if you know one I missed, list it in the comment section below. And hopefully we'll answer everyone's questions about which guns were actually built around the 40 Smith & Wesson cartridge.